My homophobic family treated me like trash and I got revenge. I'm a male, 23, and I'm gay. I moved out of my parents' house about a year ago, but I left some important stuff there as I did not live too far from them. My relationship with them has always been complicated, as I do not always agree with their views. And I have always made sure that I let my voice be heard. We got along, but not that well. My mother is 43 and my dad is 45. I also have an older sister who is 24. She recently got married at a wedding where I was the photographer, which will play an important role later on. I chose not to go to college after high school and instead did a lot of short courses in coding design, IT, etc. As I've always been good with computers. My parents did not know that I was gay until recently. The reason I did not tell them is that they have outdated views on their gender and sexuality. I covered up who I was for several years, but it was not like they did not know. What I mean is, when I was younger, I was more vocal about liking guys. I made the mistake of telling a guy that I went to school with that I liked him. The boy told his mother, who told mine, and I got a beating because of that. I was bullied for a few weeks in middle school and then everyone forgot about it. But my parents told me that if they ever saw me acting like that again, they would kick me out of the house. Out of fear for them, I never mentioned being gay again. But as I got older, I grew more confident with who I was and I started dating guys without them knowing. When I moved out, I started to come out to close friends. Got support from most of them, mainly the ones who were not religious. Those who did not accept me left my life for good. I was a bit nervous about telling my parents due to how they had reacted the last time when I said I liked the guy. I decided against it and instead acted like myself, dating in public, etc. I did not care if they found out or not. I would deal with it when the time came. It was not long until I was confronted about my lifestyle by my family. My sister was the first one to come to me about it, and she told me that she would get me help before our parents found out that I was gay. In her own misguided way, she was convinced that she wanted to help me. But I let her know that I did not need her to protect me, and if she really wanted to help me, then she would try to accept me. But she could not betray her faith, which was her response. This was coming from the person I had tried my hardest to be there for when we were growing up. We might have had our sibling rivalry, but we had each other's backs. I knew she was not an ally, but I thought she would change because of me. When she had been short on cash to pay for a wedding photographer months ago, I had offered to help her at no charge, even though I could not afford to help anyone out for free because I had rent. We had not been getting along lately, though, because I was taking too long editing the wedding pictures, and it was only because I also had to do the work for paying clients, in addition to her. I stopped replying to her message, but later on I got a call from my parents. They told me that I should stop whatever I was doing as they did not raise me like that, according to them. But for once, I stood up for myself and told them that they had raised me to hide who I was. It was because of them that I had identity issues for a long time. I had to try and figure out if I was who I felt I was, who they said I was. I was on the phone with them for about an hour, trying to explain everything to them, even though I knew it was a waste of time. In the end, they told me that I had to fetch everything that belonged to me at their house that very night. Mind you, it was way past midnight at the time. I had a small two-seater car and it would take me several trips to get all my stuff. I said that I would take it all the next day, but then they hung up. The next day, it was like I had walked into an ambush. Our priest was there and he wanted to pray for me. I refused to let him anywhere near me though, because I did not see the need. I told him that I was going to take my stuff and leave, but my father refused to let me take my things if I did not allow the priest to help me. Not to jump to conclusions, but I had a feeling that it was going to be an intervention of another kind. I'm talking about an exorcism. It might seem like I'm exaggerating, but my parents go to a church that's extreme. But I will not get into that. I decided I would leave and figure out what to do later on. Some very important documents were in my room, and I would need them at some point. But then, later on, one of my childhood friends sent me a link to a marketplace. It turned out that my parents were selling my stuff. There was computer equipment I had been planning to sell for extra cash, my clothes, furniture, etc. And a lot of stuff had been sold already. I was mad that they were selling my stuff, but what I was more concerned about was that they still had my stuff. I called my mom and asked her if I could at least get my documents back, and guess what? They had thrown away everything. Some of that stuff was irreplaceable, or it would take a very long time, money to even fix it. The only reason I had left my stuff by their house was that I shared my flat with someone who had always had a lot of people over. I did not want to lose my stuff during one of his parties, so I was pretty much screwed. While I could get it all back, it was going to take a lot of time and money, which I could not afford at the time. I contacted my sis to ask her if she could at least talk to them into not selling my remaining stuff, but she told me that it had been her idea. I knew then that I had to get even. You would not imagine how upset and betrayed I felt. I decided that I wanted revenge and that it would be worse than what they had done to me. I had not yet sent the pictures I took at my sister's wedding because I had been editing. But due to the stunt that she had just pulled, I did not think she deserved it. I still had been willing to send them to her even after she had not accepted me, but her giving my parents the idea to sell my stuff brought out the pettiness. Firstly, I asked if she wanted the pics or not, if I could delete them, since we were no longer family. She started to demand the pics from me, threatening me with all sorts of legal cases if she did not get them. I reminded her that not only did she not pay me, I had not signed any contract, so there was nothing she could do. I deleted all of the ones that had been edited, all looked decent, then looked for one of the worst pictures of the day. I had accidentally taken a pic of her wiping her nose with one of the serviettes, showing her poor regard for etiquette. I sent the picture to the wedding committee group, which had family and friends. I knew it was mean, but she had started it. I put my phone on vibration and waited. And it did not take long before it started to vibrate with messages and calls from her and a bunch of family members. I took my sweet time answering the calls though, because there was still the matter of my parents and the things that they were selling. Multiple times I had helped them with tech-related stuff, so I had a lot of information with me. Credit cards, files, passwords, emails, you name it, I had it. If I wanted to, I could access everything on their phones and leak their personal info and secrets, but I had something better planned for them. I tried to crack the password for the account on the marketplace, but I could not easily do it. Despite my many attempts, the marketplace had a lot of firewalls that were preventing me. So I sent a Trojan horse to their email account, pretending to be a company that wanted to buy my software on the site. Once they logged in to the fake login page, it was game over. I took off all the listings of my stuff and put pictures of their stuff instead. I had access to their pictures because I had created a cloud account for them to upload their stuff since their phones were always complaining about space. I would love to explain the process of me getting the right pictures despite there being thousands of them, but that would take ages. I wrote that they were struggling with credit card debt, so they had to start selling stuff, etc. Then I waited. Now our town prides itself in having the most effective rumor. My parents have always acted rich and superior in front of others, but now their friends were laughing at them. And not only that, I signed their emails up for advertisement newsletters, and those things are the worst things ever. So far, I had been trying to reach out to them to get them to give my stuff back, but they had refused and only continued to insult me. But now they were the ones contacting me and asking to see me. I had been thorough in my hacking of their account. They had been unable to reset anything, so I knew that they either knew it was me or wanted me to fix it. When I got there, the whole family was there, not just my parents and my sister, but my aunts, uncles, and cousins as well. 3 of my grandparents passed a long time ago, and the remaining one is at an old age home. And then the ambush began. They started complaining because 1, I had deleted all the pictures of my sister's wedding, and all that was left were some poor quality camera photos other people had taken, and 2, they said I was trying to make them homeless by listing their things on the marketplace. It is important to note that most of my family did not stay in town, so they did not know the full story. Most of them believed my parents and asked me to confess what I had done. I was not ashamed of it. I told them that I had caused all the havoc in my parents' and sister's lives, and I would do it again. I showed them the proof of my parents selling my stuff on the marketplace and also told them that they had thrown away my important documents. My parents tried to defend themselves and say that I was lying about them selling my stuff and that I had deliberately done all of that because my sister had not paid me for the pictures. It did not help, though, that the rest of the family was homophobic as well, and they had been harassing me over my sexuality ever since my family had told them. So then I asked them why I had been called since they had already decided that I was in the wrong. And apparently, it was a final attempt to talk sense into me, before they took things into their own hands. I asked what that even meant because I was not going to hide who I was so that they could be comfortable. And that is when things went crazy. Two of my cousins restrained me and sat me down while my aunt was on the phone with someone else. I am quite big and I work out at times, so I'm fit. I managed to struggle against them and escape a few times, but then more of them joined in. There was nothing else that I could do. No one could hear me scream because they covered my mouth. After a while, some men wearing white came onto the house. They said that they were going to take me to some place where they could fix me. I had heard of these gay reform centers many times before, and I knew nothing good would come out of it. So I had to quickly think of a way to get away before they sent me there or somewhere worse. So then I bluffed and said that I had leaked all of their texts on Facebook. I was let go for a while and there was chaos, which was when I took the opportunity to run out of the house. I had not been completely bluffing though. I had every single one of their text messages, but I had not sent them. I sent them all the messages telling them to leave me alone or I would post those texts on social media. Even though it is ethical, I had started looking through my family's texts because I knew that they would never let me get away with what I had done. Thus far. I found out about the center, so I hacked the rest of them for insurance. And boy did I find juicy stuff. One of my cousins, who has always been shunned by the family because she is goth, actually helped me gain access to their stuff. There were texts of people snickering about each other, and it was bad. There was no loyalty among them. There was a cousin of mine who was doing weed without his parents knowing, and I had gotten the text between him and his dealer. An uncle was having an affair with his coworker, etc. It was bad. I had each and every person's secrets, and if I posted anything they would be ruined. But I was not some evil genius who wanted to ruin other people's lives. I had sort of gotten my revenge on my main family by embarrassing them in society. But it would not last for long and people would forget soon. My bargain was simple. I wanted all the money that they had gotten from selling my things and the remaining things that they had not sold yet, and I would delete the marketplace, which I had been faithfully updating, selling things like dishcloths. Then I wanted them to stop all contact with me. No calls, no texts, no messages, etc. You would think that once I threatened them with revealing their secrets, they would listen and leave me alone. But I got many texts and angry calls from them, threatening me in many different ways. But once I started to send a couple of texts to the family group, they saw how serious I was, and I was blocked everywhere. I managed to start the application process for the documents and certificates that I had thrown away. Some were easy to get as it was just applying for another copy, but not all of them. I decided that I wanted to move away from this place because I knew that they would stop at nothing to try and ruin my life. I also wanted to go and live in a place with better opportunities for me, because I had been surviving from gig to gig. Eventually my stuff got sorted, applied for a job, then moved on from the toxic place. Most people there were never kind to me after I came out as gay, and I started losing clients, so there was nothing much that was left for me in that town. As for my family, the truth always had a way of coming out. My cousin who helped me before let me know that everything had come unraveled, and many of the secrets my family members were keeping were revealed without me having anything to do with it. When I started learning about hacking, I only did it to help people who had been locked out of their devices or had someone stealing their info. I never wanted to invade anyone's privacy, but I guess at the time it was a necessary evil, because I did not have any other choice. My family had tried to screw me over, twice, all because they had a difficult time accepting that I'm gay. It turns out that they were the ones who had stuff to be ashamed about, not me. I'm settling in well in my new job, and I'm actually treated decently here, and I have not had any contact with the rest of my family since that night. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.